Welcome to Venice. We travel because we fall in love with people and places. 10 good reasons is all it takes. 10 reasons that awaken all your senses. Let us discover together, admire, grasp, breathe in, and savor the best of Venice. Reason number 1, art history. Unlike most cities, Venice has remained unchanged for centuries. No cars, no trucks. Venice rests on slabs of limestone placed on the same wooden pillars its original architects had stuck in the muddy soil beneath her. A precarious state that renders her vulnerable with a troublesome temporary quality and an even more unique and attractive allure. This city has been called the most beautiful in the world, with a female vibe and a dangerous beauty and wit, like those of the courtesan and poetess Veronica Franco. We are blessed to still be able to retrace the steps of our illustrious natives, who have left behind an unending reservoir of historic buildings, mural paintings, sculptures, portraits, classical music, and which are still vibrant today and accessible to the public to enjoy and admire. Verrocchio was the master behind the legendary bronze statue of Colleoni, now standing tall in the Campo Santi Giovanni e Paolo. The composer Vivaldi and the luthier Guarneri left their mark on the music of Venice. Lorenzo Lotto, Tizian, Tintoretto, Carpaccio, Bellini, and so many others have painted her sites and her residence. Venice is a backdrop of plays, like Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, or Voltaire's Candide, is the birthplace of Marco Polo, Goldoni, and Casanova, and has inspired countless other works of art and literature. Reason number 2, San Marco. San Marco is a piazza, a piazzetta, a basilica, a clock tower, a campanile or bell tower, and ultimately a bay area filled with gondolas opening up onto stunning views of the island of San Giorgio Maggiore. One can strip the layers of the history of this main square of Venice to about 1200 years back to find a much more stern-looking church. Its prosperity era began later, coinciding with the city joining the Crusades. Spoils of wars added new layers of gold to the interior of the basilica, and remarkable sculptures and statues to its exterior. Today, it reunites elements of Byzantine, Islamic, Romanesque, and Gothic art and architecture, making it a truly unique and exquisitely rich site. The basilica is the main character of the San Marco Piazza, and it faces a large square used in the past for ceremonies involving the wealthy and powerful politicians of Venice. Around the plaza are the refectories, homes of the subjects holding governmental positions. The bell tower, the highest structure in Venice, which stands quite tall in one corner of the square, has been a symbol of Venice for centuries. The one you are looking at is a perfect replica of the 1,000-year-old original, which collapsed in 1902. It served, historically, as a bell tower for the basilica and fulfilled a defensive role during invasions. The piazza fills up quite early each morning with tourists, and having found a place to see it all and enjoy it from afar is my best-kept secret. The far end of the piazza is occupied by the Correr Museum, an old-style museum with a vintage-looking coffee shop that serves wine as well, on the second floor, with unobstructed views of everything called San Marco. Go early and you will not regret it. Reason number 3, CARNEVALE. Who doesn't like to dress up in a costume? I see some of you don't. But what if you get to blend into a crowd of thousands and thousands of exquisitely dressed Venetians and visitors for one of the most lavish and exuberant carnivals on the planet? For a night of intrigues, stolen glances, unresolved mysteries, and unexpected opportunities. No other carnival will ever present you with more poetry and verve. If it is on your bucket list though, book your stay way ahead of time and make sure you match your accommodations in the city with the elegance of your wardrobe. Like at the 5-star Danieli right around the corner from the Piazza San Marco. The festivities last for 10 days before Mardi Gras. Take your time and make the best of it. Venice is a synonym for carnival masks. These are sold all year round in many places. I strongly suggest you search deeper into the city for original Venetian leather masks made by local artisans, not mass-produced on another continent altogether. It is up to you to find your Venice, to go off the most beaten track and look for truly local products like artisanal leather items, locally made soaps, the merchant of Venice perfumes in Murano glass bottles, and such. This medieval carnival has been revived in the last 40 years or so, and I hope it'll last for a long time. Don't miss it. Reason number 4, gondolas. The name of this flat-bottomed boat is Venetian, along with a few other words we use often without knowing that they originated in the city of the canals. Venice enjoyed peace and prosperity for quite a while and was called La Serenissima, the Quiet One. Thus the Venetian language became the one used in trade and in the arts, such as the theatre. Words that later became in the English marionette, lagoon, pants, gazette, ballet, arsenal, among many others, come from Venice, as well as the Italian greeting ciao. Gondolas are manned by a gondoliere, and many of them can hold a tune to entertain their guests, since today gondolas are mainly used for tourism. In the past, these watercrafts were used as the main mode of transportation around town. The gondoliere uses only one oar, and the gondolas are asymmetric to allow him to balance and steer the boat. Historically, gondolas have existed since the 11th century and were fitted with a small cabin with Venetian blinds, and later with a kind of baldachin, but no longer. Tourists want to see the city, and other amenities are preferred, like posh cushions, a bottle of champagne, and a tenor serenade. Reason number 5, water. Although my 10 best reasons to seduce you into visiting and revisiting Venice are all of a touristic nature, there is one exception: the water. Venice was built in an area that is very easily affected by changes in the environment, as we have already seen. Piazza San Marco is located at the lowest level possible within the city, at only 64 centimeters above sea level. When waters rise due to the tides or simply because the seas and the oceans swell, the piazza and the basilica become submerged underwater, enough to cause very serious damage to precious historic treasures. This emergency is actually man-made in every aspect. A few decades ago, artesian wells were built to extract water from the underground, causing the city to start sinking. Although that has stopped, Venice continues to sink at a few millimeters per year, but waters are now rising due to climate change. Many very costly solutions have been proposed and tried, some more successful than others. But improvement is slow to come due to the city's financial dependency on tourism revenues and its reliance on cruise ships way too large for such a sensitive environment. Responsible visitors might want to keep these few things in mind. Get there by train or plane, and use local public transportation. Stay overnight, eat and drink locally, support local merchants, protect the historic sites, and make long-lasting memories. Venice needs you. Reason number 6, Rialto. To balance out the historic weight of the San Marco Piazza, Venice is home to the Rialto Bridge and the Rialto area of the Venetian markets, dating over 400 years back, on the banks of the Grand Canal. In fact, the fresh market and the fish market have been quartered in Rialto for just under 1,000 years. The bridge still stands, against all odds and the criticism of its detractors, built in stone to unite the San Marco and San Polo Sestieri, two major districts of Venice. Not only did the Rialto Bridge unite the two sides of the city, but it also flourished as a trading and financial district, housing many retail stores, factories, and a slaughterhouse. The Grand Canal, or Canal Grande, draws an inverted capital S through Venice, from the train station all the way to the lagoon side of the San Marco Square. The Rialto Bridge is the oldest of the four standing today. The banks of the canal are lined up with the most impressive palaces of Venice, as well as the so-called fondaco homes of wealthy merchants, which consist of loading areas, storefronts, storerooms, and residences, but lack sidewalks. Today, one of the biggest attractions of the Rialto area are the views, the shopping, and the dining on seafood. The palaces can be admired via boat tours. Reason number 7, Murano. The city of Venice proper is surrounded by a good number of islands, which create an even more picturesque backdrop for all your selfies. Resting lazily on the blue waters of the lagoon, these islands can be all visited on half-day trips. Among them, the San Giorgio Maggiore Island is maybe the most recognizable, with the tall tower and spire of the 9 bells of the Church of San Giorgio Maggiore, called Palladian Church after her maker and often painted by Monet. One other worthy day trip is a visit to the island of Murano, 2 kilometers north of Venice, world-renowned for its glass factories. Venetian glass is regarded as the finest in the world since the 13th century. Their innovations in the glass-making art include the invention of crystal glass, cristallo, white porcelain glass, l'attimo, multicolored glass, millefiori, aventurine or goldstone glass, chalcedonio glass, enameled glass, filigree glass, Murano beads, fine mirrors, colored chandeliers, and many other secrets of the trade. Murano's finest creations are today on display at the Museo del Vetro, the glass museum in the Palazzo Giustiniano. The glassmakers of Venice were confined to Murano to preserve the trade secrets and to avoid setting Venice on fire. They did enjoy, though, a privileged status in the society not afforded to other people of non-noble birth. To detract from imitations made elsewhere, original Murano glass creations are today identifiable with the trademark artistic glass Murano. A bit of trivia: Murano beads arrived in the Americas before Columbus, reaching Alaskan Eskimo sites. Reason number 8. Casanova. Calling this segment Casanova was just an excuse to direct your attention to one of my all-time favorite movies with Heath Ledger, who brilliantly played the Venetian writer and adventurer and sadly departed too soon. Heath's Casanova, in the movie, develops a friendly relationship with the Doge of Venice, and we get to see on film the beautiful Palazzo Ducale. The Doge's palace is a true work of art, and a museum that can be visited along with the palace is filled with many of the historic treasures of this prosperous city. The palace is actually connected to the Basilica di San Marco from the back, forming an impressive architectural complex. Built in 1340, in Venetian Gothic style, it has been converted into a museum in 1923. Often destroyed by fire throughout history, the palace was later reconstructed with some Renaissance influences, and its halls, rooms and chambers were decorated by Italy's finest Quattrocento and Cinquecento painters, including Pisanello, Vivarini, Carpaccio, Bellini, Pordenone, and Tizian. Still Gothic in appearance, the Renaissance left its mark in the famous Bridge of Sighs, built on the lagoon side over a narrow canal that separates the palace from the prison. The connection to the basilica goes through a regal-looking courtyard, and the museum attached, called the Museo dell'Opera, safeguards art pieces that were rescued during reconstructions. Also on display are 7 lavish rooms that belong to the Doge's apartment and 18 sumptuous large chambers which were dedicated to office work, all decorated by genial artists. The palace has been copied and imitated way too often around the globe. Reason number 9. Gourmet. Let me point you in the direction of a few classic Venetian gourmet experiences. The list of typical Venetian fares is rather extensive. So, here are 2 of my favorites, the risotto al nero and the carpaccio. Risotto al nero is made with cuttlefish, starchy risotto rice, and white wine. Carpaccio consists of raw red meat, sirloin or tenderloin, sliced in paper-thin layers that are set out in a round pattern on a flat plate and garnished with shaved Parmesan cheese, capers, arugula, and drizzled with lemon and olive oil. The dish was invented by Chef Cipriani of the famous Venetian Harry's Bar, who named it after the painter Vittore Carpaccio, whose colors, particularly the reds, were most vibrant. Harry's Bar is behind the Piazza San Marco. While strolling through the porticos of the piazza, make sure you stop at the Florian, Venice's oldest coffee shop, opened continuously since 1720. The establishment, which is among the oldest in the world, allowed women patrons, a first for its time. The Florian has expanded throughout history to 6 elegantly decorated themed rooms. It is gossiped that the Florian was Casanova's favorite coffee shop, and a few other illustrious guests frequented the place in its heydays. Menu favorites are their coffees, sandwiches, and tiramisu. Reason number 10. The Spritz, particularly the Aperol Spritz, since it is the best known one around the world. It started with foreigners asking for a wine spritz in northern Italy during the hot days of summer to dilute the heavy local wines, and later changing the wines with Prosecco and adding bitter liqueurs such as Aperol, Campari, or Aperitivo Select. The spritz today is served on ice with an orange slice and a splash of club soda. Although ingredients do vary, preserving the orange-red color is a must. Where to have a spritz in Venice? You can start by hitting Harry's, who by the way also invented the Bellini cocktail of chilled Prosecco and crushed peaches, naming it after the painter Bellini. Or you can hit the San Marco Piazza's main eateries during happy hour right before sunset. Café Quadri is a Michelin-starred bistro dating back to 1775, with a glamorous remake. Café La Vena dates back to 1860, and it is said to have been frequented by the likes of Wagner and Liszt. Also from the mid-1800s, down the Piazzetta, facing the Doge's Palace, you can find Grand Café Chioggia, followed farther towards the lagoon by Gelateria Al Todaro, a newer café, but proud owner of the best open views over the water. All these establishments offer live music late afternoon. Do you know why the Aperol Spritz has gained such a loyal following in recent decades? Because it takes with it the colors of a Venetian sunset wherever it goes. Cheers! Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please don't smash any buttons. Just gently like and subscribe for more. The world is vast and it's all yours. Next time, you might also want to fall in love with this next destination over there. Thank you.